Hey guys, I'm Combat Craig and I'm a 100% disabled Desert Storm veteran. Today we will discuss 5 valuable ways to increase your VA disability rating. Hope you guys are staying safe out there, social distancing and all that kind of stuff. I created this channel to educate veterans and I appreciate all your support. Please hit the like button wherever it is. Subscribe to my channel if you're new around here so you don't miss any of my upcoming videos. Okay, so we are going to be talking about 5 valuable ways to increase your VA disability rating. Let's run through them real quick. Number 1, focus on valuable VA disability claims. Mental health, lifestyle impact claims, migraines, sleep apnea, GERD, or IBS. High value claims, we'll go into those a little bit more. Number 2 is get an independent medical opinion for conditions that you already are service connected for. Number 3, file for secondary service connections with medical nexus letters. Number 4, obtain VA buddy letters from a first-hand witness. And number 5, this is probably one of the most important, you're going to have to nail your C&P exam. So we're going to go through all 5 of these things. They all have to do with medical evidence and proving up your claim, and prepare yourself, educate yourself, and then nail your C&P exam. All right, before I get started, let's run through a quick disclaimer. I'm not an accredited agent or affiliated with the Department of Veterans Affairs in any way. I make these videos to educate veterans about their VA disability claims. Today's info is for educational purposes only. Please do not substitute anything I say for medical advice or legal advice. All right, so tip number 1 is to focus on valuable VA disability claims. Mental health, lifestyle impact claims, GERD, IBS, sleep apnea, migraines, other types of headaches. A valuable VA claim is a disability or a condition with a high likelihood of getting rated at 30% or higher. Versus a low value claim. We'll go over that in just a second. When you get focused on high value disability claims, that's a great way to increase your VA disability rating in less time. Got to figure out where to put your focus. Don't focus on the low value claims. You're going to have them, but if you have the option of focusing on something, high values, what you want to be looking at. So what's the difference between a high value and a low value claim? Low value claims have a low likelihood of getting a rating of 30% or higher on their own. So these include claims like tinnitus, hearing loss, scars, and orthopedic conditions. If I'm thinking back to my own claim, I have a 10% for tinnitus. I also went to the audiologist and got not service connected for hearing loss. Scars, I never even actually filed a claim for. And then orthopedic conditions. I had an orthopedic condition in my foot, and that started off, and I was rated at 10% for my foot for a long time. Probably took me about 13 years to get to that little low ball foot rating. But you'll have a tendency to focus in on, what is service connected, and that's fine. You want to be thinking about high value claims. You're going to be spending effort and energy, and this stuff gets frustrating and stuff. So you want to focus your effort on the valuable, high value VA claims versus the low ones. So number 2 is to get an independent medical opinion for conditions you already have service connected. We're talking about valuable ways to increase your VA disability rating. The easiest thing to do is to go after something that's already service connected. So if you provide an independent medical opinion, you're already going to have the service connection because you have your low ball rating of 0 or 10 or 20%, right? You don't need a nexus because that's already service connected. So we're just talking about the severity of your symptoms. That's where the rating comes in. So an independent medical opinion can document the severity of your symptoms. One of the best reasons for using an independent medical opinion from a private provider is sometimes the VA can just grant you the increase without sending you to a CNP exam. For simple disability increases, raters are authorized to grant VA rating increases just on the independent medical opinion itself. So keep that in mind. Now, you're probably going to have a CNP exam. I don't want to give you the wrong idea. But I did not have a CNP exam on my last claim for PTSD. So I've had CNP exams and I've not had CNP exams. So it's kind of all over the board. Prepare for it, and we're going to go a little bit more in depth on CNP exams. So let's use an example. Let's say you're at 0% for migraines. You believe your migraines meet the higher rating criteria by law, and you have prostrating events. You know how often they cause you to lay down. You've been using an app like Migraine Buddy or something like that to kind of go along and document how often, the severity, duration, and all that kind of stuff. So you get an independent medical opinion to go along with your other medical evidence, and they could just grant that alone, just grant you an increase without a CNP exam. So go after the disabilities that you already have service-connected. Look at ways to increase them. Of course, if an increase is warranted, right? There's no reason to file for an increase if the disability isn't bothering you any more than 10%. Number 3 is file for secondary service connections using medical nexus letters. A lot of people, or a lot of veterans, just focus on primary disabilities for direct service connection. That's what I did for a long time. I didn't even know about secondary service connections till about a year ago. So you are eligible. If you have service connection for one thing and that's causing you problems in another part of your body, you can file a secondary service connection claim for it. Cool, huh? Secondary service connection in VA claims requires a showing of causation. So the secondary condition needs to be caused or aggravated by the thing that's already service connected. There's some kind of fun language here. A showing of causation requires that the secondary disability be shown to be proximately caused by, or proximately aggravated by, or proximately due to another service-connected disability in your body. So I'll go into those a little bit more later too. By law, there are 3 evidentiary elements that must be satisfied to prove secondary service connection on an at least as likely as not basis. That's the 50-50 standard burden of proof. You're going to need a medical diagnosis of the disability condition in your VA medical records or private medical records, unless you have it in your service treatment records. Typically, these secondary service connections happen after you've been out for a while. They're easier to link up when you're older. But you need to have a diagnosis in there somewhere. So that's probably not going to be in your service treatment records. So we're going to be looking at VA medical records, or even better, private medical records. So once you have your diagnosis for your secondary service connection disability, then you're going to need evidence of a something that's already service connected, such as PTSD or something like that. Then you're going to need a medical nexus letter establishing the link between the thing you want to file a claim for, secondary to the thing that's already service connected. So my case, I'll use an example. I'm already service connected for PTSD. Last year I did a sleep study and I found out I had obstructive sleep apnea, and I was given a CPAP machine. So if I wanted to file a sleep apnea claim, I would do it secondary to PTSD. And I would need to have a doctor write an independent medical opinion, specifically the NEXUS, on a at least as likely as not basis, linking the two together. You'll want to do a buddy letter and a personal statement as well, but the NEXUS is the most important thing. And then also, we're talking about filing for increases here. Make sure you consider all secondary VA claims. I had left foot, 10%. I filed a secondary claim, right foot, aggravated by my left foot. And then I also filed a somatic symptom disorder claim because of the pain that's going on in both of my feet. I have METATARSALGIA, plantar fasciitis, and good old PLANUS, aka flat foot. Tip number 4 is to obtain a VA buddy letter from a first-hand witness. A VA buddy letter is a credible written statement completed by a competent individual that's 18 years of age or older who has direct first-hand knowledge of an event or injury and offers an account of what they witnessed or are witnessing in support of your VA disability claim. So in my case, she's now ex-wife, but she could talk about my restless leg syndrome, my choking, my snoring. If I'm trying to prove up my obstructive sleep apnea claim, the ex-wife would be a good person because I'm thrashing around in bed all the time, and she can write about that because she has firsthand knowledge of how irritating it was for me. Personal statements can be done by fellow service members, spouses, friends, pastors, co-workers, bosses, adult child, 18 years or older, right? Or any other competent, credible witness that can speak to your conditions. Typically, the buddy letter is filled out on VA Form 21-4138, and this could be a big key in winning your VA disability claim for increase. We're talking about medical evidence. The more you pile up on your side, so you have a secondary disability in mind. You get a doctor to explain that your secondary disability is caused by your already service-connected thing. So you got your NEXUS is solid. You have some treatment records. You've been getting help for this. You have some, medical evidence inside the VA or out. Your own personal statement, that's medical evidence. And then a buddy letter, that's also medical evidence. So get as much medical evidence together and obtain a VA buddy letter from a first-hand witness. That's a good way to do it, and that is tip number 4. All right, you're going to need to nail your compensation and pension exam, aka the C&P exam. This is an exam that's most likely going to be ordered up after you file your claim. It's basically the VA verifying what you're saying is true, and they're going to go send you to one of their doctors. If you have provided a NEXUS from a private doctor, the C&P examiner may accept it. They may disagree with it. They may be on the same page. That's why it's good to have 2 of these and not just rely on the VA for everything. But you need to know what's in your medical records. Read through everything. Know what's going on in your medical records. Know about your disability. You need to know what you filed a claim for, how it affects you, and you need to be knowledgeable about this stuff in front of the C&P examiner. Like, you got to know what the hell you're talking about. I would also recommend reviewing CFR Title 38 Part 4, the schedule for rating disabilities, for the disability that you're being examined for. This is the governing law, so you should understand the rating criteria and the language in there. I use migraines as an example. Prostrating, what's that mean? How's that show up? How many times a week does that need to happen to me for me to get this rating or that rating? So review it. Educate yourself. Do not have your best day. This doesn't mean lie or stretch the truth. It means tell your C&P examiner what you're like on your average day. As you're coming in on one day, if you're going in for a mental health exam, tell them that your insomnia was worse, your anxiety's through the roof, you had road rage on the way over. You can't just go in there and say, hey, doc, how's it going? I'm having a great day, because that ain't going to work. You got to tell them what's going on. You got to be open and honest and give them a snapshot what's going on right now. You have your current diagnosis. You have your current NEXUS. Give them an average of what's going on in the last 30 days. Be uncomfortably vulnerable. This means that you need to be uncomfortable when you're talking to the C&P examiner. You don't know them. You've never met them. You're never going to see them again, or her. You need to tell them what's going on. If you're going into a C&P exam for erectile dysfunction, you need to explain how it's hurting your relationship with your spouse in detail, as much detail as possible, whatever is relevant, how it affects your social life and how it affects yourself. Paint the picture and don't leave. This isn't the time to hold back. VA claims for mental health conditions come down to your level of occupational and social impairment. So if you're going for a mental health C&P exam, how much is this affecting your work and your social life? VA claims for other conditions, orthopedic conditions, etc., They're all about the pain and the limited range of motion. So again, do some studying up and know what they're going to be looking for and what you're supposed to be talking about. If you're going in there for an orthopedic condition and you're talking about mental health, you're just blowing it. You're talking about two different things. He's just listening for you to talk about your orthopedic condition. So, you know what I mean? Understand what you're there for and understand what you're there to say. You need to know your true story cold in your C&P exam. If you need to talk about your in-service stressors, if it's a PTSD claim, you need to know it. I mean, if you have memory loss issues, you can bring the stuff in on notes, but they go off of these checklists at C&P exams, and they're called DBQs. And they're just literally checking boxes. Do you have this? Do you have that? How bad is this? How bad is that? So it's better to just know it. I mean, you're filing it for a disability. You should know what your problems are. So you should be able to breeze through this stuff. But again, you need to talk about, how bad this is and how it affects your work and your social life. Get into as much detail as you can with the C&P examiner, and don't bullshit around with him. He's probably only going to give you a certain amount of time, so don't talk about what's going on Facebook and, lockdown in my state and all that kind of stuff. Like, it's irrelevant. Go in there and talk about your disability and nail your C&P exam for the condition you're being seen for. You need to be prepared to talk about your life in detail. What happened before you joined the military? What happened during the military? What happened after your active duty service, because that's what you're in now. You need to be able to give the C&P examiner a good picture of your life, what you were like before you went in, when you were in, that's where the, like PTSD happened, your stressor and stuff, and then what your life's been like out. You got to talk about all that stuff. If you need help with your VA claim, you can sign up below at combatcraigwins.com. If you have questions about VA claims, shoot me an email at combatcraig@vaclaimsinsider.com, and I'll be happy to help you out. Again, hit the like button if you like this video. If not, you can hit the thumbs down. That's all good. All interactions are encouraged, and the whole point is to educate veterans, right? Veterans educating veterans. And with that, I'll see you in the next video.